Now for the track guide. This is not an easy track, it's very technical, and since I'm quite competitive here, I'm going to show you all the small details that I pay attention to in order to get a faster lap time. So, right off the start, turn 1 and turn 2 are very complicated because you need to carry a lot of speed going in turn 1 and turn 2. If you're gonna approach it with 90–85% of pace, you will lose a lot of time. So you really have to throw the car into those corners. First things first, let me show you how you should hear the car in those corners. So I'm gonna play it and just pay attention on the tire noises. Alright, as you probably noticed, around the apexes here and here, the tires are screaming. And this is what you should aim for, because you want your inside tire to micro lock up. Ideally, you don't want to lock up at all, but that's very advanced. Usually what's happening if you're not micro lock up, you're not doing a micro lock up in these corners, you're not pushing enough. You're not using all the available grip. You're under the limit of grip in these corners. So this is what you're looking for in terms of sound. And to do that, let me show you my approach. So my braking point is the 1 board, or the end of this concrete and the beginning of the grass. I brake hard initially because I want to generate some of the rotation under braking. So if you noticed around here, I had a slight moment of oversteer, so the rear was loose because I peaked the brakes high initially and then I quickly drop it. And this is a theme in these corners. You want to brake hard and then drop the brakes, because if you're gonna hold the brakes while turning, you're gonna lock up a lot more than what I did. And it's gonna become a point in which this is not good anymore. So it's a subtle thing under braking, but if you notice around here, right now, you see I'm steering right at this point. So I'm counter steering because my rear is loose and I'm rotating under braking. I aim around this curb. I want to open up as much as I can for the corner in front. However, you should not aim to bring your car to the white line on the left side. You will lose a lot of time and a lot of speed. You really want to push your car into those corners. So in between these corners, turn 1 and turn 2, you see that it's a slight moment when you have time to be back on throttle. Ideally, you want to go back to 100% throttle, but depending on the speed that you're going to carry, you'll hit 85–90 like I did here. So you're gonna push the throttle and then again you want to brake for the next corner. Now notice that I trail brake a lot in the lower 3% before taking turn 2. And this is here on the apex. You still want to generate some of the rotation. So half of the rotation is done initially under braking and the other half is done by this trail brake right here. We push the throttle, and then again in first gear you want to take as late as you can the apex here. So you just want to follow the white line. If you're gonna go half, even 3 meters, 1 meter more to the left, your exit will be compromised. So you really want to hug this and trail brake as much as you can and then be back on throttle. But you want to carry a lot of speed, so it's like a V-shaped line in this corner. You really want to throw the car in a bit deeper initially, so you see still following the line but throwing in a bit deeper and then cutting again on the right side. So treating it almost like a double apex corner where the first apex is here and the second one is here. You see, this will be the fastest way with a Formula car, with an F3 in this example. Now being back on throttle, next corner is quite difficult because it's a blind corner, and with a blind corner you really have to know it beforehand, so it will always take you by surprise for the first time. But I use the number 1 as a braking point. Slightly before it I apply the brakes and I try again to generate the rotation under braking. So it's the same theme: brake hard initially, apply some steering angle, to the point that the car will be loose in the rear. So look on the steering wheel. Right now, even before the corner, the car is a bit loose. So this gives me the rotation that I need to cut this curve, because you need to go over it with all the car. And this is the secret, or the most important tip in this corner. You want to take the second curve in between your wheels. So you cut the first curve a lot, and then you go in between your wheels and take the second one. So you're basically using a bit of grass, and this is not an off track. And this will open up a lot more the corner, and it will make you able to be early on 100% throttle. For example, at this point I'm already 100% throttle. This is what you should aim for. If you're gonna be on throttle at 100% around here, this is already too late. You're gonna lose a lot of time. And it's easy to lose this time because if you mess up a bit on the braking in the first curve cutting, then you won't have the exit needed to be early on throttle. So this is just a consequence of the previous corner. That's why this track is difficult. Coming up to the next one, you want to take the shortest path by being close to this wall. And then notice that on the right side here, you have a little bit of exit room to the right of the white line. You have to use it while turning. So I brake, let's say a few meters before it, I brake hard, I use it to put my right tire, and then I begin turning in. And again, it's like turn one, you want to trail a lot. So a lot of trail braking to cut as much as you can, and then put this apex around the curb. It's exactly like turn one and turn two, with one small mention. Here you can go over this curb, you can go past it, but if you go too much over it, you're gonna have this moment of oversteer, you see? So the whole purpose of this section, because you have a big straight afterwards, is to avoid having a big lift. So I had here like a 5-10% lift, and the reason of this lift was just because my car gets unsettled while taking this amount of curb here. The moment I take it, I drop the throttle because I feel the oversteer coming in. I correct it immediately with my steering wheel, and then I'm getting back on throttle. Ideally, you won't have this lift, but it's gonna be very difficult. And if you find it too easy to take it flat, it might mean that you're overslowing the car in this section. So I would say a small lift won't hurt, because it will mean that you're carrying here a lot of speed. Coming up to the next corner, this is just a big straight, and before the bridge, I'm applying the brakes at the number 2, or at least I'm trying to do here. This is what I'm looking for. And notice again that you have this exit road on the left side of the white line. I'm trying to position my car slightly under braking, just a little bit, just a few degrees. If you notice here, my steering wheel is pointing maybe 1 degree to the left. And then using these curves, you really have to go past them, because you'll be able to do it. The first one and the second one, and then be on throttle as quickly as you can. Notice here that I have a gap in between brake and throttle. This is not ideal. The reason that this happened was because I braked a bit too late, and because I braked a bit too late, I wasn't able to slow the car down in time, so I wasn't able here to be on throttle. And if I were on the brakes, then my wheel would be locking up, or I would be slowing down too much. So I decided just to let it roll. It was the lesser evil, let's say, but you can improve this. This definitely can be improved. Now, going into the hairpin, I brake in between number 1 and number 2. It's very difficult to pick a precise point. That's why this corner is tricky for me. It's not every time, it's not the same, but you want to brake late and hard. You want to pick it hard and then drop it, and you need to trail almost to the middle of it and use a bit of this curve for rotation. You see, you can open up a lot more and you can be earlier on throttle. Try to have no hesitation going on throttle, you just have to build it up. And now for the last corner, the Wall of Champions, the chicane, I'm applying the brakes at the number 2, brake in a straight line, and it's again like that corner under the bridge. You have to cut this one a lot. But notice under braking that I have a slight moment of oversteer. Notice on the steering wheel right now. It's subtle, but before arriving to the curb, I'm steering left, you see. That's because I generated the rotation under braking, and this is what you should do in order to be a bit quicker. Instead of relying on the front tires, is to rotate it under braking. So again, I kind of braked a bit too late, and it's the same issue as under the bridge. Right now I have to coast and then be back on throttle. But it's important to cut a lot just the first wide curb to open up the second one. The second one, you just need to go around it, but don't put your tire over this curb because your car will get unsettled, and even you have two options. Either you'll have to drop the throttle or you'll end up in the wall. So just go over it, use all the exit, and in short, that's a track of Montreal. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll see you on the next one.